And we are alive. Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Hello again.
And we're back. As
All right.
do we have anyone on stream just like waiting to pounce?
It looks like we have a few people. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
fantastic.
Got my Audacity going.
Good deal.
I'll
All right.
remember to send that to you tonight. Or
Well,
put
if
it in
we
the
are-
Dropbox.
We're here and ready to go for the show. One for the money, two for the show. Good evening, Rifters. Welcome to season 1 of the Roleplaying Rats live stream and podcast. And if you are returning to the fold, then welcome back. You are incredibly appreciated for sticking with us. You know, I saw that Pinnacle released Rifts for Savage Worlds Mega Bundle last week for users of Foundry VTT, and it's kind of got me hoping more people are getting interested in the Rifts Megaverse. It's always kind of been a niche RPG, and maybe they'll start to come across our digital breadcrumbs on the Blogablag. But I digress. Listeners, the game tonight is a tabletop role-playing game called Rifts, and the rule set is Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. Returning this session is Icy Macaw, playing Tyler, the Glitterboy pilot, Kintaro, playing Slash, the Mars Package mercenary soldier, and Revolver Octorok, playing Graham, the Leyline Walker, and I, 5Zeph, am your game master. Thank you all for joining us today, and if you're catching the podcast, thank you for the downloads, likes, comments, and if you can't join us live, then we've also added a Twitter account, so you can give us a follow at Roleplaying Rats. That's ROLE Playing Rats, and tell us how we're doing. So last session, the southbound Roleplaying Rats crested a 5,000-foot mountain trail and entered the village of North Pass, one of the gateways to the barony of Pryde's Shield. They've come thousands of miles through bandits, giant worms, and highwaymen to find themselves in a small town down on its luck, about half a day's journey from their real goal, a booming mining town that's rumored to offer a one-way lottery ticket to Utopia. The village has made a celebrity of the Glitterboy pilot and his horse, Patty. Slash has found the whiskey and an oily rag for his pistol, and Graham's organized mind found some chinks in his philosophy, his companions, and his meticulous notes. If you missed us last week, then head on over to roleplayingrats.com or check out the podcast on your preferred platform, because it is after some great role-playing and information gathering at the local dive bar that we rejoin our erstwhile heroes. Slash stands on the porch of the bar, saloon doors swinging behind him in the crisp mountain breeze, pushing dust through the village of North Pass at 5,000 feet elevation. It's about 2 in the afternoon as he takes another pull from the whiskey bottle and continues stripping and cleaning his Wilkes 320 Classic. Graham, Tyler, the two of you left the bar, and when you, Tyler, admired the notepad that Graham was using to track miscellaneous errata, he produced another just for you from under his cloak. Damned useful thing to have around, these ley-lined walkers. Damn useful. I'll ask you to lead off, Tyler. What's going through your head? What's the actions that we have as you take that pen, and hustle over to the southeast side of the village in the first of the 3 warehouses? I will also drop that map back into chat.
Awesome. So what Tyler's doing at this point is just half the time spending like doing exactly what Graham's doing and just looking through these warehouses and trying to figure out what was in them, how much it was worth per se, see if it's something we wanted to take care of. Unlikely, but potential. And continuing to watch how Graham uses his notebook and see if it's how I can use this new tool that I haven't really used a whole lot. I've mainly kept things in my head, so writing everything down is kind of fun and a way to keep everything organized. So just continuing to go through and making sure that we can do that while keeping in mind that we're looking for a spot too for all of our refugees to kind of spend the night before we move on to Pryde Shield.
Okay, well, fantastic. I think it's kind of fun to think that a pad and paper is, might be something very pedestrian to someone from an academic background, but for Tyler, it's a novelty item almost, and like, oh, this is cool, man. And so, Graham, are you in lockstep with Tyler as we move to the warehouses and begin to rip doors open and treat it like it's Christmas?
I think so. I think this is a small and this is probably the most relaxed Graham has been able to be since setting out. And this is something that is simple. There's nobody else sort of relying on him. He's, part of a very, very small team right now. Like in this instance, it's just him and Tyler. Like that's how he's framing it in his own mind. Um, he doesn't have refugees to count. He's thinking about them and what to do. But this is the kind of boring office work that you can almost do as meditation.
Sure, sure, sure. That's great. All right. Well, gentlemen, as if we use the term loosely, as the two of you get to the first warehouse and peel the door back, you notice that all the warehouses look about the same. Sheet metal, maybe on wooden beam or something like that. The barn doors on the front of the first warehouse screech open unceremoniously, and as the light spills in through the doors behind you and through a few dusty high windows, you see that apart from a few crumpled drop claws and a broken crate, it looks totally empty, and you are both welcome to give me notice rolls as you peer into the shadows and dimly lit side runs of the warehouse.
All right. Notice. I critically fail.
Nice.
This is going well.
Yeah, may have gotten dust in your eye there. And Graham, what have we got there?
We aced actually, so we generated an 11.
Oh, fantastic. So, basic success is a 4. That's one raise to get over to 8. And so, while Tyler immediately starts hacking on the dust, the leyline walker with his heavy face gear peers in and even takes a step inside. And you can see that it is in fact just as old Glenn at the bar said, that it is empty. There's nothing of note here. Some broken open containers, some crumpled boxes, some drop cloths tumbled to the ground, broken machine parts that aren't really recognizable, and scrape and drag marks that lead to the front door.
Okay, yeah. Scrape and drag marks, just sort of like typical wear and tear for a warehouse kind of thing.
Yeah, just wear and tear. Some old
Okay.
shop worn warehouse.
Yeah, like forklifts or dollies or something that's been
Mm-hmm.
through here. Like that's yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing that really strikes, nothing that stands out.
No, nothing at all. Not with a success and raise. There's nothing that leaps out at you.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this is exactly what we expected. This is what was told to us. Is they'd been picked apart, picked clean, um, and what we'd gotten from Old Glen was that like basically these warehouses used to store like pretty much everything that the town sort of trades in and stores, right? So like presumably food, mechanical parts, things like that, like just all across the board.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a thoroughfare. This is one of the gateways to the barony, and this town would have seen food stores. This could have potentially been machine parts and caravan stop. So all of your assumptions are pretty much on the money, you feel, and that's the way that Glenn made it sound. And everything was taken by the bandits that blew through town a couple of days ago.
Okay, I make a note of, I think if nothing else, without having um, like there's no product here to take inventory of. There's a few probably notes that get scribbled into um, the notebook, and a few just sort of asides. But probably the only real information that Graham writes down is probably like he probably roughly estimates the dimensions of the warehouses.
Sure. So these are pretty standard elephant barns, maybe 40 by 60-ish.
40 by 60 plus slash minus 5 feet. Um, yeah, he just basically just does some quick mental math of like how comfortably we might be able to fit our people in here. But this is looking like if all of the rest of them are similar to this, everybody's gonna have plenty of space. Just for the one night that we're planning on staying here.
Yeah, for inventory, not so exciting. For refugee camping, you could probably actually squeeze the whole wagon train into one warehouse.
That's what I was
That's
thinking, but let's give them as much space as we can feasibly manage.
certainly, certainly. Tyler, any repartee?
Nope, not at this point. I agree with him. Let's kind of get the people in here and get them set up, and in the morning I think take off because the bandits kind of went in a spot where it's not going to be easy to get them, so we can't go avenge the town at this moment. Maybe at some point in time we'll find him again and can bring some stuff back. Um,
Is that sorry to interrupt you, but is that like something that you would voice to Graham?
I would likely voice it. I might be muttering it under my breath type of thing. Just like, oh man, we're not gonna be able to get this stuff back. We'll have to well, maybe if we win Pryde's game, maybe we can take a small portion and give it to the town or something.
Uh, Graham like pipes up, like obviously like shadowing you and listening to you. Is like, if we really wanted to, we absolutely could get down there. You think a little dirt's gonna stop Leyline Walker? We can burrow. You know that.
True, but I think at this point they're probably wherever they were. There's probably an exit on the other side, and knowing that they had us on on their rear, I wouldn't stay
Yes,
around.
this is fair though. I think you might be right about this. It might be one that we just got to let go.
Yeah, I think that'd be the best idea, and we'll just help them any way we can. I've got some extra credits. We can give them a little bit of that, or I can give them a little bit of that, and help out the town. Just make sure they're not going to starve anytime soon.
I don't think there's any danger of that. I think I remember old Glenn saying that they're expecting the people to their form of government or whoever they called out to is supposed to be here any day now. Is sort of the impression that I got from him. So
Ah,
I
that's
don't know. I
right.
think
Yeah,
they're in
yeah.
good shape. I mean, they're obviously not in good shape right this minute, but I don't think they're in danger of being left to waste away.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Well, let's go get them into the warehouses so we can get them some rest, and then we can move on.
All right.
I think probably like gesture, like maybe a little over dramatically, like with almost a bow and a flourish to be like, "After you, oh glorious glitter boy."
uh Tyler will bow profusely and well, why thank you, good sir, and do his best kind of the old videos that he's seen here and there of like knights and stuff, and try to mimic the voice and go through the door with his nose turned up and giggling the whole way.
Oh yeah, I think there's definitely like just a complete tension cutting moment where we are functionally teenagers going like, "Oh yes, yes, I do say."
This is fantastic. So, with that, as you two head back from the warehouse, we will cut over to Slash. After about 10 minutes, as you're putting the 320 back together, you see that some locals are inching closer to the glitter boy. You've been keeping an eye on them, surreptitiously, of course, while you field strip your pistol, and they seem more in awe than up to no good. A little guy, maybe 4 or 5, reaches out and touches a finger to one of the kneecaps. And Tyler, I'm curious as to what your glitter boy's alarm does as Slash witnesses this.
The alarm system is not set up for like really light touches. I mean, it's a glitter boy; it can take some damage. So I would have made it so that way it takes a little bit. You know, like you'd have to hit it almost with a baseball bat to make it actually ring, because there were a couple times where I parked it by a tree, and I didn't like that very much with the alarms.
Sure. So it's not so much as touching the motorcycle gas tank. It's when you rock it up off the kickstand that the alarm goes
Yep,
off.
yep.
Okay. All right. All right. So Slash, nothing happens. The kids are starting to touch the armor. People are starting to gather around. Just some flavor here, but any reaction from our old soldier on the porch?
Nah, I'm just gonna put my cigarette down and put my pistol back together and watch them and just kind of chuckle to myself, going, "It'll take more than just touching it to get that thing to make some noise. I've seen a tree fall on that thing and it didn't make an alarm."
I
And just
believe
kind of
that.
watch them as they as they play with it, and just watch as kids look at it and climb on it a little bit, and just kind of
I love it.
realize that it's like, civilians looking at a tank. It's not something they see every day. It's kind of cool if they can get up close and touch it. So I'm just gonna watch and put my pistol back together.
Oh, I love that. That's about as wholesome as Riffs gets, people. So you get the Tolkien refugees situated in the warehouse, and seems nobody's making any kind of fuss. Just as you surmise, they have all had a very long day. Uh, Very heavy couple of encounters there, and they almost lost one of their number. The worldly possessions seem to have taken a toll on them, as many of them had just left with what they could carry, and at this point in the journey, all they had left was the few things that were most sentimentally precious to them. So that seems to be of more concern than any physical woes and ills. But they're very happy to bed down in this early afternoon and looking forward to what is hopefully a long and restful night. Is there anything that any of you, the three of you, would like to do in, say, the 4 to 6 hours ish before a reasonable bedtime, or through the night?
I think at this point, Tyler's just, he's been through a battle as well. He's just time to relax. He makes sure everybody's kind of settled for the night, and then he'll do the same thing.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah, I think
Um,
if we get everybody in there, Graham basically just futzes with his new, uh, more compact version of his roster of refugees, and I think he probably just fiddles with it, like just adds little notes here, does a second page of uh, other pieces of information, and is just having a quiet time to himself, basically, unless something, unless anything interesting is going on. Basically, I think he's sort of wrapped up in that.
Sure, sure. Kind of edit that rapid hand back to shorthand so he can translate it to common later.
Basically, yeah. No, he wants to. He's going to produce a document that anybody else could use if they needed to, but at the moment,
Sure,
it's not there yet.
sure, sure. Slash, anything for you through the afternoon and into the evening?
Nah, just quiet evening. Just get my stuff together. I'm gonna ask Tyler if they found anything interesting or of use in the warehouses in his notes, and just kind of make sure Graham and all the refugees are all right.
We found a whole lot of nothing in those warehouses. Looks like they picked it pretty much clean.
Well, dang, that's too bad then.
There might be a time we catch up to them, and we'll make them give back what they took, either in actual what they took, or we'll take a pound of flesh.
Sounds good.
Well, with that, the night passes relatively uneventfully. It's a town. There's a glitter boy parked out in the high street, and other than some passersby coming to ask some questions, and even one old lady bringing a couple of baked pies, there's nothing of note that happens through the night. And the sun dawns on our group in the village of North Pass, about a half day's walk from the barony of Pryde's Shield, the heart of what they hope to be their final destination. If there was nothing else on your lists, then I think we can accelerate here through some of the RP of leaving the town. And I presume you would situate the refugees for travel and direct them down to carry on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then same thing. I'll lead up the group and lead out in front of everybody by at least a couple hundred yards, just so if anybody takes a pot shot, they can hit me. And this time, how do we want to do our travel? Do we want to kind of change it up a bit? Maybe Graham, you sit in the middle, and Slash, you kind of take up the rear, so we don't get you know someone coming up behind us again.
That sounds like a plan to me.
This will do. I'm most comfortable there, I think.
though I will be up in the air, so I have better view of everything.
Sounds good. Tally ho!
All right. So we have our marching order together as the heroes and their train of still 30 refugees from the city of Tolkien head out from North Pass. The switchback road down the mountain is a almost night and day as you cross the ridge and start to come down the other side. You have some beautiful forest where prior it was mostly desolate and just sort of rocky mountain hillside. And as you start down, at first, Graham, it's an itch at the base of your spine, and you think, "Oh, did I get sand somewhere while I was sleeping?" And then as you take a few more steps, no, no, no. That feeling grows much, much warmer. And you are fairly certain with your supernatural leyline walker senses that there are ley lines underground, approximately midway between you and the town, that as you come midway down the mountain, we're at about 3,000 feet elevation now, you can see it wheeling out on a plateau ahead of you all and spread in a shoulder of the mountain pass. Almost a third of a wagon wheel that has to be the seat of this barony of Pryde's Shield, this mining barony here in the northern hands of New Mexico as we know it today. You have any questions for me there, Graham, about what you're picking up on your spidey sense?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you can't tease me with a ley line and not expect me to sup at it. Um, so I think yeah, that's one of the first things that catches Graham's attention. I was like, oh, this is good. For the first thing that response to that feeling is like, this is good. This is a resource, and I don't think he really. I think at the beginning, at least, he doesn't bring anyone else's attention to it, because he knows nobody else here has this, um, would understand it kind of like the same way that he does. But 100% he would like want to sort of figure out more about where this ley line is and which direction it runs. Um, Probably to the point that if he had to like stray a little bit from the group, like they were talking about having him being sort of the middle, uh, I think this probably grabs his attention so significantly that he would sort of wander off. Probably not like completely abandon the party, but I think he would like, oh, he's supposed to be in the center, and that's sort of what we agreed for our, marching order. Hey, no, 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 I got to go over to this side. There's something over here.
Is it to the point where instead of hitting a switchback, you just sort of keep heading straight down the path because it is between you and the town. So you're not, veering off in a random direction. You would just kind of keep tromping into the bushes. Is it more trance-like, or is it like, oh no, I think this is the general direction. We should be good here.
Um, I think that it's probably, I would say, depending on what he senses, it could be to that point.
Sure.
One
So
of the
let me
things,
lay out
yeah,
a little more.
please do.
Yeah. So it's, you're at about, what did I say, about 3,000 foot elevation coming down the mountain here. And you sense this between yourself and the city. And that means that I believe Leyland walkers have a 10-mile sensing.
I have it up for you if you need some of that info. Yep, it's within 10 miles. How
Okay.
powerful it is, what direction
Yep.
it flows,
Oh, yeah.
and
You
where
get
it
the
meets
full drip.
others at nexus points.
Yeah. Yeah. You get the full drip. So it is about 10 miles. So you have about 20 miles left to go to the city. It is running. You are moving south. Or excuse me, you are moving north to south, and the ley line is running east to west, so crossing your path about midway down, and you can feel a nexus off to the east by about, oh, it has to be like something like 100 miles or so, but you feel a nexus off to the west that you think could be a mere a mere is that like 20 miles? Like that's about as far as you are from the town now. Just by your reckoning as you look down at it. The one that's flowing across your path is not that powerful, but you definitely feel mountains of power at the nexus to the west, which slightly concerns you. You're thinking now as you're heading south towards this mining town, and you know that there are tunnels bored into the earth, as that's what mining towns do, and there's a nexus awful close by. There's just a little creeping worry in the back of your head as you know what nexus points do.
Oh yeah, yeah. Things in the dark.
Mm.
Um, is there any sense of like, is there anything wrong with the energy from the ley line? Like, if large amounts of energy are being like manipulated from those, that's also part of the ley line walker's skill set. If it's being like siphoned off, or if a rift is opening, things like that.
No, there's nothing ill feeling or odd. The the ley line that's crossing your path feels like a ley line in the wilderness, and you think it might be underground. In fact, you think it's probably buried by about 30 or 40 feet until a few miles either side of you. It's going through the mountains here, but there's nothing that feels odd about it. And to the east, you feel that that's just the nexus point doing its thing. To the west, you don't feel rift energy, but it's odd because usually you can at least get a tingling of there being ley lines beyond that nexus, but you feel like it might actually be a terminus, at least going to the west. Maybe there's more north and south from there, but it's just power, that end of the ley line.
Uh, Interesting. I think Graham is already making a note for things that he might want to test or keep an eye on as they get closer or as they are preparing to pass this ley line.
Sure. Okay, fantastic.
And I think he
There's Mhm.
will. I think he will at that point go ahead and inform uh, Tyler and Slash. Get on the radio and sort of be like, "Hey, I don't know if you guys have any uh, for not to be patronizing, but full understanding of it. But there's definitely a ley line that we're going to cross up ahead at some point. Um, just just for your full understanding of the picture here. There's definitely a magical ley line that runs through uh, the space between us and the city.
Is Are you telling us because we need to worry about it? Like I'm not real up on ley lines. I know they're there, but should we avoid it? Should we do something about it?
Oh well, we can't avoid it. It's it's miles and miles and miles and miles long, Tyler. We're gonna have to pass over it to get where we're going. Um, there's always reason to be worried in this world of ours. And I'm not saying this is an additional cause, but Tyler, I think you understand that understanding the full picture and all the circumstances surrounding it, is important to the calculations of how things should be approached. Ostensibly, it could be great for me. That's a great source of power to tap into. Uh, if we get in trouble, we can head for the ley line, and oh man, I can do all kinds of things there.
Ah, so a good thing. All right. Just let us know when we're close if you need to do anything with it or what you do.
Well,
uh,
it's not so black and white. It's not always a good thing. Uh, Maybe I shouldn't have said anything.
no, it's all good. I just want to make sure like that you're the expert on it in the group, so make sure I'm appropriately dealing with the situation.
Yeah. Okay.
Excellent. Excellent, excellent. So, we get it's about 10 miles off, so I think that's going to be roughly, another hour in overland travel if we're doing about 4 miles an hour. It's a pretty healthy pace. And so, Tyler, when you get about to the point where you feel like Graham said you'd be crossing this, and he was
Hmm.
able to, give you some distance, you could draw up a pin where you thought it was, because he doesn't have access to your armor's HUD or anything. You get this weird sort of It's not like static in your armor, but it's a tingly feeling. It's almost like static in your body, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, this is the place that must be a ley line.
He'll get on the Tyler will get on the radio and be like, Graham, I think we're here.
Am I aware if this is the right
Yeah.
spot or not? Okay.
No, absolutely. He's like, oh yeah, he's definitely standing right over it, and
In that case, I think that I've probably. Well, he's at the front, right? So he's going to be the first one to notice it.
yeah.
I think I pick up the pace and basically leave the spot in the middle of the group and like walk to the front, like not like running or bolting or anything, but just like whatever pace they're traveling at. I'm traveling like twice as fast, like I'm hustling to get to the line.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fine. That's fine. You move yourself up to the front easily enough. There's nothing untoward. As I said, the energy feels good. It's on the way down the mountain, and there's nothing that raises any hairs on the back of your neck. The trees seem a little bit greener here, and the sky seems a little bit bluer as you step into the closest proximity that you've been to a ley line in some time.
Yeah, I think yeah, if Graham can get to it, I'll just sort of like kneel down or like kind of squat down over the ley line or like along it, and just sort of put my hand down and feel for it if it's still
Uh,
like running beneath the earth.
Yep, you can't get quite close enough to it. You know it's just there. It's about 20 or maybe 30 feet down. Not today, says Graham to himself. And Graham silently looks at his tunneling spells. Is that what's happening right now?
Don't call me out, Gabe.
You
I
went
can,
quiet real
I
quick.
can, I can get to that thing if I want to. I'm trying to figure out how much Graham would want to, and whether he would, um, what he
Why
would
don't
tell anyone.
you roll me a d6, and that might give us I can add in a story point here for you, maybe, if you roll me a d6.
There we go.
That is a clean 3. We split it right down the middle. So it has been about 3 weeks since you last came across a ley line in your path to the south. You feel like you went through a sort of a weird band where things were running across the north-south line instead of crossing your paths. I was going to say, latitude or longitudinally, but I didn't want to embarrass myself there with the wrong one. And so this is probably, it's been about 3 weeks. So I don't know if you can tell me what kind of hankering your ley line walker would have for being in touch with the ley line. You know that, Tyler's got fair reason to be worried about the refugees and getting to town. And we've kind of discussed Graham's, motivations and what he feels about the people. And so you weigh in. You've got all the pieces. How do you think you'd feel about that?
I think that ley lines are, there's the intellectual knowledge, the academic knowledge that they can be dangerous, that, they are a resource that can be accessed by a number of people or creatures, entities. It's something that other people don't understand, but I think it's just so familiar. I think it's something that, is a part of his education, part of his vocation. Um, it's been such a staple um, interaction in his life, especially his previous life, that it's like it's really calls to him. I think he like wants. It's like dipping your toe in the ocean after like years of being away from the sea, which is hopefully something that resonates with you, Gabe. Like must being from Hawaii and all. Like it's something you gotta have like on
Oh yeah.
occasion. Like it's like how long has it been since I've seen the ocean or been at the sea? Um, and then it's like yeah, that's my ocean, and I think that's what the ley lines sort of are to Graham. In the same way that like there's something mystic about them. Both the ley lines and sort of the ocean, this parallel, that it's inviting but vast and terrifying and comforting all at the same time. And I think that it's such an itch, that there is probably like I said, this sort of mental struggle going on of like, I could get there. I could get down to it. It probably wouldn't even take that long. And this would be a simple thing to do, and I wouldn't have to stay there. I can come right back. It's like being on a road trip and then seeing that you could stop at the beach when you haven't been to the ocean in like 5 years. And I think it's like, but I'm trying to make good time.
Oh, so who wins?
Oh, those PowerPoints are already spent, buddy. We're going down.
I think that was a fantastic look into the psyche that is Graham, though. I appreciate your delving there. So there's a Benny tossed on the tune. All right, so how does Burrow work?
I was to say, and we got that curious trait. We gots to know where it's at. Burrow, let's take a look. Can allow the recipient to meld into raw earth, and then we can continue to move at half a normal pace, or full pace with a raise on the roll. So I'd have to roll regardless.
Mhm.
Then there's a whole bunch in there about like if you're using it to sneak up on somebody, and how all that works. If you can get the drop on somebody, how the stealth works. But outside of the combat aspect, it's just you roll the spell to cast, and then just move at half your pace, basically. Which I
Okay.
think can even probably be, I could buff it with another PowerPoint to improve my pace. So basically, like offset the pace penalty.
Well, that's on you. You let me know what you'd like to be doing there, spending PowerPoints wise. Just mark that down, and then give us a what's up? What do you got?
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to spend the appropriate PowerPoints to cast this with a hurry thing. Like I really do think he just wants to like dip down, find it, be next to it, and then dip back up. Like that's what he's thinking.
Okay. All right.
So I'll go ahead and
Fantastic.
roll that for you.
Mm-hmm.
If Tyler sees him like digging down into the ground, he basically immediately as well like trundles back over there, pops out of the glitter boy and starts seeing what he's doing. Because he said there was a ley line, and suddenly he's digging. I'm just as curious as he is as what's going on.
Oh, he's definitely not digging. He just dissolves into dirt.
Mm.
And I don't think he would have made any effort to let you know. Like he hustled to the front of the refugees, but didn't get past you. Like presuming that you were still moving and not like sitting down on the ley line. His intention was for you to have moved past it and him to come up behind. So definitely people would have noticed because he's in front of refugees, but there's nothing obvious about what happened to Graham. He just
Okay.
he dissolves into dirt and like just falls to the ground basically like this pile of dirt.
Then I
Fantastic.
continue on without doing anything.
Okay. All right. Well, Slash, you see all this going on. You see Tyler just sort of continuing. You see the refugees kind of, maybe some of them turn at the sound, because I'm sure there would be some noise of shuffling dirt or something, displaced earth. And Slash, as you're flying drag, you see all this happening. And as Graham has noted, it does not take long for him to just be swallowed up by the ground. And you heard him on the radio talking about the ley line. You saw him pushing up through the people as Tyler kind of slowed in his stride in his glitter boy, and then continued on. After turning to you, heard him radio back to Graham. So Slash, what's popping through your head as Graham dives into the dirt like a mole?
Well, I kind of feel that the whole thing's a little weird. The whole ley line, ley walker, it kind of weird Slash out. He's not into the whole magic kind of thing. Like it's useful, but it still kind of weirds him out. So he just kind of he sees Graham do it, and he just kind of okay, he's cool to do whatever he's doing to do his thing with that ley line, and I'm just gonna continue up here and keep a watch over things as it may be.
Okay, fantastic. So, Graham, you burrow your way down as only a focused blinkered leyline walker can, and as you open it up to the ley line, which is indeed not even running through a tunnel its own, it's just running through the earth. Can you make me a notice roll?
Yep. I'm probably gonna spend a penny on that.
It's up to you. Oh, wow. So that was worth it. Okay. That was an ace, looked like, and a 10 on the die. Is that right?
Yeah. D8 ace got another 2, so 10
Mhm,
total.
mhm. Fantastic. Now drop me a little smarts roll in the chat just straight off the trait. And we're gonna close in here. A 9 on the smarts roll. Okay. Fantastic. So as you get down, you feel that wash, that lovely, lovely wash, that the waves rushing over your feet as using the ocean, as you so poetically put before, and you realize that the ley line shouldn't be running through its own tunnel, and it wasn't, or at least the top of it wasn't. But then as you break through a little bit deeper, almost greedily to try and get the the full effect of it, immersing your body in it as only a leyline walker would want to, touching these supernatural and eldritch powers, you feel a tingling in the back of your head. You remember that there is something called a line croc, and they traverse ley lines, and almost almost supernaturally they can taste when something enters a current above or behind them, and you hear a screech from off to the east, where the direction that this line is running, and you realize this ley line shouldn't be in a tunnel. It should be just through the earth. This isn't good.
I think uh, there's definitely a sense of like fear, but there's a sense of like regret. Like, this could have been a great experience. This could have been wonderful, and instead it's this. Um, I think Graham has like one thought of responsibility before he leaves, um, while he's still down here, sort of burrowing through, um, and that's he would use the leyline transmission feature, which is the ability to speak and receive messages along the ley lines. And I think he does a wide broadcast. I think he just blasts across the ley line, um, to watch out for this thing. That one of these is here, the ley line crocs.
Interesting. All right.
But then he's gonna hurry his burrowing butt back up to the surface.
Yeah, yeah. You actually feel the flow of the ley line disrupted as this thing moves fast enough and disperses enough energy that it seems to actually disrupt the flow, like a large ship coming up a river that's almost too small for it.
Yeah,
And
it's definitely like it shakes him, but yeah, there's a brief moment where he's like, I I gotta get out of here, but I don't know who else has access to this thing, who else has been around, and so that's why he's gotta blare out a warning across that. So I think it's just sort of like a quick burst of, uh, "This is a fellow walker. There's a croc on the line. Please be safe. Please be careful." And then just shoots up as quick as he can.
sure. So does Burrow replace the dirt, or can you reverse it, or are you leaving a hole behind you?
I am the dirt buddy.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, it's
Fantastic.
you meld into the earth. it's called burrow because you can move through the dirt, but like we don't turn into a mole or anything like that. It's just we. It's like a D&D like meld into stone. Like you
Sure.
are the stone now. You move through it.
Tracking.
So we move through the dirt. We don't displace any of it. We just functionally sort of. I mean, we displace as much as maybe one might imagine. It was like if we are dirt, then we just start shifting through.
Tracking. All right, and just like that, Slash, you see Graham pop right back up to the surface and kind of pat himself down as if nothing really happened. Okay, to kind
You
of taking things in stride.
yeah, I'm just kind of up in the air, just like, okay, well, I guess he's back doing whatever magic weird things he's doing.
Your traveling companions are very understanding, Graham. It is without much
Magic
further.
do be weird.
This is true. That'd do. That'd do. It is without much further ado, any further ado, that you come within hailing distance at last of the town, what you assume to be the main town in the barony of Pryde's Shield. You hope you were finally at your destination. If everyone in the village was on the up and up, and Tyler, you note in the back of your head that you never actually passed anyone going the other way to the village. Like courier, rescue party, anything, wagon train, supplies, nothing. And
Something that'll need to be checked on.
Sure.
But I'm kind of looking also for the first person I can chat with in the area.
Sure. So you arrive about 4 hours after you started out, just as old Glenn said. There's some kind of tent city that seems to have developed around the outside of the town. The town, as you can see rising ahead of you, has beautiful, beautiful carved stone walls that are stacked as only perfectly square cut stone can be. And Graham, you immediately feel like, oh, these had to have been cut by magic. It's just, this is too good. This is too good. That city wall over there. But
Yeah, I
this
think
tent
he's
city,
impressed by that, by like
yeah.
the craftsmanship. Like, wow, this is like just sort of mumbling like out loud, just like that's really well done. Yeah, they must have some impressive craftsmen. Yeah, I think there's
And
notes being taken.
oh, I'm sure there are. That's why all this is getting thrown in here now. But the tent city expands for maybe a quarter mile outside of the walls itself, at least on this side of the this entry to the town, I should say. And as you came down the slope towards it, you saw that there is a river cutting through a portion of the wagon wheel, this sort of third of a wagon wheel that's laid out there. And Graham, as you near the city, you feel on the other side of the city, entering your sort of, your 10-mile spider sense, you feel not only a ley line on the other side, and as the steps continue forward, not only two ley lines, but a third, and a nexus that makes that western nexus 20 miles off feel like a child's toy wooden block.
Yeah, I think Graham is just sort of like he knows it's another thing. It's like this struggle between the academic um, and intellectual mind and the sort of unfettered emotional. Like I think he's trying not to be giddy, but I think he's just so tickled. It's like, oh my goodness, oh, this is in the element. I think there's like a little spring in his step. I think
Mm-hmm.
he like nudges because he knows that Slash is like up in the air and Tyler's up at the front. He goes to Steven and sort of nudges him, and he's like, "Look at these walls! Look at this! Look at this construction! This is beautiful work! This is craftsmanship at its finest! This is we have made it, Steven. We have done it! And the energy of this place. Can you feel that?"
It's overwhelming. I love it. I
Yeah, and
love
then
it.
immediately, like, regardless of whatever, like, doesn't even wait for Steven's response. Just
Mm-hmm.
gets on the radio, and is just like, "You feel that, guys? This is it. Made it."
Love it.
Those are some really really nice walls. I have to agree with you there, Graham. That's some beautiful craftsmanship.
So, as we move through the tent city with Graham losing it on the comms and nudging and throwing arms around shoulders, You see a sign, Tyler, as you're up ahead. I assume you're letting the group close as you get into this tent city. And indeed, people are stopping what they're doing, children playing in the mud, women hanging, washing out on the strings and ropes, and, men working on vehicles or on wagons stand up. And there is a glitter boy striding down the street. And you do not see a lot of power armor out in this tent city here. In fact, you don't see a lot of armor at all. These look like the people that have made it to this barony here. And as you get closer, you see a sign that spans the road saying Pryde's Shield, spelled with a Y. 10 credits to enter, but you can exit for free. And just past the sign, there's a small knot of people in vehicles at a rope across the road, just outside what you would call the city gate, and a little, maybe 10 by 20 shed next to the road. And on the roof is what's obviously a sentry. He's got a light railgun on a turret pointing back down, and he's standing up with a cybernetic arm holding binoculars up to his head, but he's not looking through them. He's just sort of staring at the glitter boy, a cigarette forgotten in his mouth, just like, you don't see that every day.
Tyler's gonna look around as he's coming up on this tent city. Is there some people milling about, or is it look like no one's around? What's going on
Oh,
in
there
the
are
tent
people
area?
around, kids playing ball and women out with washing. It's a very populated little slum, if you will, outside the main city. And as you're sort of puzzling out why that may be, you see that sign where it's 10 credits to get in. So this may just be the poorest of the poor. So there's no one in authority, but there are absolutely people around until you spy that guard shack outside the gate and the rope stopping people from getting in.
Okay. Um, I'll radio back to the other two. Guys, the sign up here says we're in the right place. But it is 10 credits for each person to get in to the area. Otherwise, it looks like you stay out in the tent area out here. So I think we should go up to the gate and kind of ask some questions on what's going on.
Yeah, let's make our inquiries.
Sounds like a good idea.
Sure. Well, as you move your way up there, you see the guard on top of the shack sort of, look down and say something that you don't quite catch. He must be on a radio. And a guard pops out of the shed at the head of this milling crowd that's at the rope stretched across the street. And as he jumps up onto the hood of a vehicle parked right up on the rope, you see that he doesn't actually have power armored legs. He is also a partial conversion Borg with, cybernetic legs, much like the gentleman up on the shed has cybernetic arms. The
Okay.
man on the truck holds a bullhorn up to his open face helmet, and he stops as he sees the glitter boy and then clears his throat. He's kind of staring at you, and there's a crowd of maybe 30 people between you and him.
Okay. Uh, I'll get on my loudspeaker, and if there's people in my way, otherwise I just continue walking right up to the gate. And if
There's definitely people there.
in between me and it.
Yeah, like they're waiting to get into the city. There's a little barrier across the street. He's popped out of the guard shack. It looks like he's about to make some kind of announcement. So there's about 20 or 30 people and a couple vehicles between you and him in the road.
Okay. If that's the case, then Tyler's not gonna try and cut in line or anything like that. But he will end up at the back of the line and make a big show because obviously he's starting to get used to the fact that everybody kind of the glitter boy shows up and everybody's like, her who?
Mm-hmm.
And so he'll pull up his arm like he's looking at his watch on the glitter boy and just start tapping his feet and put his arms up in the air like, come on, let's go. But he doesn't say anything. He's just like making the moves like, oh man, this is gonna take forever, looking at his watch.
I'd love to be the people at the back of the line or maybe in the middle of the crowd. Like there's people behind you making a bunch of noise and starting to shuffle around, but someone in the middle of the crowd doesn't really look around until there's this sort of rhythmic thudding in the ground as a 1.2-ton suit of power armor taps its foot. Let's take a second, think about that. I love the scene. So the guard clears his throat again, and he says in a very tired voice through the loudspeaker, "Welcome to Shield Star, the heart of Pryde's Shield, the only Western barony with a lottery to paradise, away from the dangers of the earth as we know it." and he goes on at some length about keeping the peace, behaving yourself, and as he starts to wind down, with his eyes lingering on the glitter boy more than the rest of the people, it'll be 10 credits anytime you want to come through the gates to enter town. As the crowd groans, it's not to line anyone's pocket, it is just to help cut down on the amount of you riffraff coming in and out. Now, if you'll line up in an orderly fashion at our gatehouse here, we'll get anyone who wants to enter a map of the town and sort you for some accommodations. And with
I'm
that,
gonna
Mhm.
I'm gonna radio down to Tyler. I'm about 500 feet in the air, and I can hear the announcement over his speaker. You know, I think I could probably get in there without paying that 10 credits.
Oh God.
Probably, but that railgun might hurt if they decide to shoot up in the air. Just saying. Plus, I think 10 credits we can definitely afford that for this group. But I think I want to, before paying to get all the refugees in, let's figure out what exactly where the refugees should be and where we can get them to.
Yeah, we should probably go in and see the area first before we bring them all in.
All right. Well, with that, the guard, as you two sort of have your conversation at the tail end of his announcements, he hops down off of the truck, and another guard comes out of the booth, and the two of them start talking to the guy in the lead truck, and the line begins to move forward a pace. Is there any more planning you three would like to do before you get up to the front? Any want to prep the refugees who are muttering excitedly behind you, Tyler and Graham, about this is it. We're here. Did you hear him, Shield Star? We're here. The heart of Pryde's shield.
I'm just
Uh,
gonna fly down to meet Tyler and Graham.
yeah.
I'm
Uh,
probably going to see if I have at any point taken information about like do these refugees have any money of their own? Like Graham's immediately thinking like, okay, wow, we're here. What do we do with all these people? What do they do with themselves? Like Graham is not prepared to, run um, like a halfway house for the refugees who now need to earn their way into the city or earn their keep once they're in the city. So he's like furiously trying to draw up plans for like, okay, how do we make sure that these refugees don't just live in tent city all their lives?
yep, and Tyler will, radio to the rest of you. Let's keep the refugees out here and figure out kind of what this place is because we don't know yet. And then let them know that we'll come back in a little bit and let them know kind of what the lay of the land is, and we can kind of work with them on what we need to do.
Okay. All right. That's it's plan. It's definitely a plan. So you get up to the front there. Are you going to try and like ask the refugees to sort of wait on the side of the road, or let them just follow you up to the? You guys were the last ones in line before you got up. This feels like a pretty rotated and scripted thing. Like every couple hours they let people into the town. You'd imagine with the coin and the tent city outside, they really are just trying to modulate the amount of people. And from the rumors that you heard, you understand why there'd be a huge influx and maybe more than their infrastructure could handle.
Yeah, I think that's what's sticking out to Graham. It's just like if they already do this on the daily of like, we can only let people in at certain times, then, maybe they don't have the like housing development for people for a bunch of newcomers. Um, and so I think, but Graham is probably not just gonna like let the refugees like wait in line with them, unknowing what the plan is. So he's definitely gonna like talk to Tyler and Slash, say, "Hey, we need to let them know that we're going to go in and sort of examine the town and figure out what are what the best future for everyone looks like. Um, and we should probably make a point to take some people in there that aren't us. Like we are I think it's important for morale that at least a few of these people get to come in and experience the city today. And more eyes and more people to experience and know what's happening here is valuable, because we are not, you know, uh, your average citizen, if you will. And I think he's sort of looking pointedly at, like, gestures up and down to the power armor of the Glitter Boy, and then sort of looks over at Slash and goes, just saying.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. It would be very wise of us to go in and kind of check it out first. I was thinking the same thing because we have no idea what the housing situation is, what the inn situation is, if we need to put these people up somewhere, if there is even anywhere to put these people up right now. Because what are we going to do if we take all these people in and there's nowhere to put them? So, but I agree also that we should take a couple of them in. Definitely talk to Steven, get him to pick a couple people to bring in, and let's see what we can find for them.
Yeah, I think like Sarah and Steven might be a couple good people to bring in.
All right.
Let's get talking then.
The group is saddened at this consensus amongst their erstwhile leaders, but they seem to understand, and they like the two people that you've picked, obviously being two of the folks who've had the most interaction with your motley band. And so the remainder of the group pulls to the side. The truck's pulling over in a wide space in the road, and the as you get up to the table, you see one guard sitting down with a big data slate laid flat, and he's got his armored gloves off, and he's typing and swiping as the other guard waves the last group on, the one with the cybernetic lights who did the speaking. And he turns around and says, "Hoo-wee! Another glitter boy, eh? One might think you justice nuts are getting tired of fighting. You're the second one we had through here in just as many weeks."
Oh, really? Through here? Is he still... him or her, are they still here?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that. Jer. Yeah, you're on shift today. Hey, Jer, does he showing us checked out in the database there? Jer's like, "Sarge, we can't say that." He says, "Oh yeah, all right, so I can't actually tell you that, and I also don't know it. But he's probably still drinking himself to death. Apparently he couldn't save his woman from some rift spawn or some shit. I don't know. He came through with a real sob story. But what are we dealing with here? How many people we trying to let in? What kind of money you got? Why another glitter boy? Good God, you caused such a stir."
Well, we try. And I'll again open up the front panel, just kind of, that hissing sound, and it pops open. And I'll, be right next to him. Like, I'll walk right up next to him. So when I open it up, I'm within range to hand him something. And, well, for right now, we got 5 people we'd like to have come in, and I'll pull out 50 credits and I'll hand it over to him. So just like to get in with 5 right now, and we'll figure out where we go from there.
Yeah, all right, just 5. Rest of your group's gonna stay out here. That sounds good. Jared, we got room for all of these over at Maggie's, or no? And the other guy with the data slate says, Yep, no, the 5 can go to Maggie's for sure. The vehicles and the rest of the train could probably go park at Laramie's. That's the stockyard." He shoots at you over the slate as he keeps tapping away. And they're kind of staring at you, eyebrows up.
So where...
I think, yeah, Graham sort of walks around the side of Tyler, and his first is like, "Oh, don't worry about the glitter boy. We'll try to keep him on a leash. Now, if you find gentlemen could, you seem to have a wealth of information." And Graham stares greedily at the data pad. Would you be able to accommodate that full party there? I think if I told you that there were 30 odd heads there, does the city have accommodations available for that many if we could pay?
Oh, the city will accommodate anyone who can pay. That's, sounds like immediately scripted line.
Oh, of course.
And Jer, the one at the data slate, says, "Oh, yep, nope. Like I said, we've got room for you over at the stockyards at Laramie's. The vehicles can park out there. The people are welcome, and they've got sort of, it's a nicer tent city. Look, if I'm going to be honest with you, there's just a lot of people in town. But for 5, Maggie's is still showing. She's got room, like beds, rooms for 5. You can can get in there, so you can sleep. But you're in the city, you're safe. Look, and then Sarge cuts him off. Yeah, let's jump over to one of the key points here. We don't have the infrastructure to be taking care of everybody's gear, so you can keep the glitter boy, you can keep the armor, but just don't cause any ruckus because we've got a pretty mean set of mercenaries on hire at the moment. They kind of came on board a month ago. They tend to shoot first and ask questions later. They're one hell of a wild bunch, you ask me. I don't much like it, but we don't have much trouble in town.
So it's safe in there. That's good to know. Uh, now, is there what is the work situation? Is there work for the people of this town? Is it just another tent city of people trying to get by? What's I'm sorry to ask you so many questions. It's just you're the first uh, fellows of authority with knowledge that we've encountered in quite some time. This is a treasure, gentlemen. Please.
He leans back and says, so we're assuming that most people come through here for Pryde's game. That's Pryde with a Y. And here in Pryde's Shield, we offer the lottery to Utopia. And people come here to work. You used to have to pay your taxes, and citizens were allowed to enter the lottery. And someone was picked every so often, but now they get picked once a week, and it's a flat entry fee. Don't lose your ticket, though I heard they started tattooing on your barcode on your wrist down at the magister's office because people were losing their tickets and faking identities and all that business. So it you could get called next week when they do the drawing, or you could get called in a year. So we've actually got a lot of vacant structures, but men at arms such as yourselves could probably afford to set up some kind of shop of something, but people don't always have the wherewithal to start selling goods or trading goods. Maybe they didn't come with goods. They could be refugees, which, he leans over, looks like most of you a lot, but open a business, find a job. The real trick is getting to bed. It's definitely a city. There's been a lot of investment in infrastructure, and he glances back at the walls, as you can see. But, there's also been an influx of people, so the money can't really keep up with the workers. There's plenty of workers, maybe too many workers. It's all bureaucratic stuff, sir. There's another group of people coming down the street here. Do you guys want it in or no? I'm starting to get confused.
I'm terribly sorry, sir. Didn't mean to take up so much of your time, but thank you so kindly for the information. That is so helpful. You've been just a model of professionalism, and it's been great. You have the credits already for our party, and I hoped that we see you gentlemen again in the future.
Right. All right. Here's your map. He slaps it down on the table in front of you, and he pulls out a pen and says, and Maggie's is just here. She's a straight shot down the road. If you want it a little later, Laramie's is just here, and he draws an L with a circle around it. And there, you're off there. Y'all go on ahead on in there.
To the races, as it were. Thank you, Sarge. Thank you, Jer, I believe, if I caught that.
He's already pulling out the bullhorn, and he doesn't pay much attention to you as you step away there. And just to double check here with the tech, does the Fantasy Grounds link? Does the map pull up? Do my scribbles show up?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. All right. So that is the map that you have in. You are entering, let me put a little arrow here straight ahead. So you're entering from the left side of this drawing on this third of a wagon wheel. And Maggie's is a straight shot down the main drag, with Laramie's just off to the, that would be off to the west there as you enter from the north, if I have my directions correct. And you see immediately upon entering the gate that this map that he gave you is like printed by the boatload and wildly inaccurate, as there are cross streets all along this main sort of double highway, and it's not just a thin row of shops between these two lanes of highway here. It's like a 3 row of 2-story or 1-story buildings You can see another lane of roadway there in the center, but what used to maybe be sort of a straight shot bustling highway through the town has carts lining the side of it, market stalls, people sitting and begging. There's a few performers and buskers, and it's just an incredibly bustling, packed. It feels like you should be in a metropolis, but you know from walking down the mountain that this is a relatively small, what should have been mining town, although many of the older structures look to be very well to do. And you wonder a little bit about how long Pryde's game has been going on and how much money has been coming into this town.
As a quick question, is the infrastructure here set up to handle a glitter boy walking around town?
Yeah, this was a mining town, so the roads are mostly packed dirt, not heavily paved. It might be crushed gravel, but you're not worried about falling through anything. But you might want to stay off the boardwalks in front of the shops.
Yep. And also just in general for getting around is the, you know, there's probably carts and stuff so I can just kind of stay in my lane and move through.
Yeah. It's not lanes so much as just sort of flowing traffic down one side and flowing traffic up the other. But as you start to move through the streets, the crowds are thick, but not so thick that a glitter boy and a flying titan don't make a lane for themselves. You do not see a lot of power armor walking around. You see some body armor or pieces of body armor, some makeshift armor, lots of coats and dusters and hats. But you two, the Flying Titan and the Glitter Boy, are the two sort of set pieces as you move down the street.
Okay. Uh so what do you say we go stop at Maggie's and see what's going on there first? Uh what do the four of you say?
Say that sounds good, and then we can see what he was talking about getting the others set up so they're not in that tent city.
Carve a path, my boy.
Sarah says, "Yeah, sounds good." And Steven's kind of looking around and going, "It's cool to be back around people. This is cool."
I like it.
All right. And so I'll do just that. I'll start moving down the road. I'm not looking to run anybody over or anything, but
Sure.
I'm not letting
Uh,
people, just get in my way type of stuff.
yeah, no one gets even close to slowing you down or stopping you as you begin to move through town. And after a few minutes, you come up to a bundle of people who are blocking the street and a couple vehicles who are kind of pulled up who didn't turn off on the side street in time. Just three. And there's people gathering in behind the last vehicle, so he can't get out. And it looks like there's some speaker or somebody over on a soapbox of some kind talking at an intersection here, and he's blocking the main path.
I'll walk up to the vehicles and I'll just play, traffic cop for a minute. I'm gonna put on the loudspeaker and just, start pointing at vehicles and stuff. You back up. You do this. You get out of the way. And
Love it. I love
just
it.
see if I can do that. I don't know if I'm successful
Sure.
at it, but I'm certainly gonna try.
Sure. What skill or trait does Tyler have that you'd like to apply for this role here?
Um, I think I would go with um probably persuasion would be what I'm trying to do because I'm not trying to like,
Sure.
threaten them or anything. I'm just using my size as a general, make sure I'm seen type of thing.
Sure. All right. So go ahead and throw that roll down. Persuade roll sounds good.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Wow.
That'll be a 10.
Jeepers.
Ace
That
twice.
was nice.
On a
I totally
D4?
expected you to beef that, and
I
instead
did
you
too.
double frickin' aced it.
Oh boy. Well, what a roll for it. As you shout through the loudspeaker and get your commands going, and the three vehicles are getting moved around, the uh, young lady comes running up from in front of that last vehicle as he starts to back up and goes, "Shh, who the hell? Shh, can't you hear? He's speaking." And she's
I
pointing back at the soapbox guy.
and I completely ignore that for the moment until I get this taken care of, and I'll just talk over her.
Yeah, no, the last vehicle's backing up. She, came up at the tail end of it there. So it's, for all intents and purposes, the vehicles are clear. The crowd is turned and now looking at you. You are now the very center of attention, and the speaker is standing up on the box, looking at you with his hands raised, like he was mid-sentence and he stopped to look at you. You're really not sure how long they've been doing that, but you'd probably wagered the entire time that you've been moving vehicles around.
Mm-hmm.
I think Graham like keys the radio to get to get Tyler's attention and be like, Tyler, I thought we didn't we establish something about doing our best to not always be immediately the center of attention wherever we went? I feel like we might have addressed this. I'm not 100%.
Well, we couldn't get through. There's stuff in our way, so
Is
We're
that
just
over the
taking it in.
loudspeaker or is that over the
Oh,
radio?
I think my response, because I'm so busy trying to focus on the traffic and everything. I've got this lady trying to tell me to shut up, and then Graham's trying to remind me that I'm doing exactly what we said we wouldn't do. So I don't key off my mic. So my response to him is like, "Look, I'm trying not to stand out in the middle of the crowd, but we got to get the vehicles out of here, and everybody's talking at me, so I'm just trying to do my thing."
Tyler, we're not on the clock, bud. We got all the time. You've definitely put yourself in this situation. I'm here for you, but I'm gonna let you see this one out.
So as you reply, Graham, and there's a silence from the glitter boy after that, sort of stumbling like what, you hear a bellow start back up from the direction of the soapbox, and as your heads turn, you see that someone has handed him a helmet that he's not put on, but he's holding up to his face. It's a helmet from a suit of environmental body armor, so he's using the loudspeaker in that. And he continues, "And see, my good people, more travelers find their way into our city, into our town. More strangers bringing whatever dangers they may to our homes. You must listen. The game is a sham. Pryde's folly is death. To you and to any who win, may his soul be thrice damned. Do you even know anybody who's actually won? Focus on your livelihoods, your loved ones. Don't let these empty promises, these strangers from foreign lands, fool you." And you begin to hear beeping of horns and vehicles from across street, Tyler, on your blind side, as the speaker comes to a lull in his tirade, if you will. And you see, as you turn your helmet to this new distraction, there are two hover cycles in front of an immaculate white hover sedan making their way around the corner onto this main street. And the vehicles keep laying on the horns, and they try to turn as they turn out behind the crowd, and the hover cycles begin to nudge people out of the way. And you can only imagine, as you were distracted by the speakers, how they got so close here. But the hover cycles are moving awfully close to the speaker, and the crowd is beginning to flow around because they were in the street, and you see now that he's standing on a crate that's like right in the edge of the street. And as you look on, as these vehicles start to move, he snarls, "And here, the mayor himself, he's here now. If you would just open your eyes, you sheep, you cattle." And he pushes, like you see him shove someone into the road, not surreptitiously or anything. And the press of people is too much as that person stumbles over in front of the vehicle, and you hear his screams as the heat from the turbines cooks him alive. And that scream is like a big red button for the crowd, and that restless crowd leaps for the car, pulling the two uniforms off the hover cycles in front and the back of the sedan, and they begin beating at the windows. Our party stands behind this scene. What do we do?
Well, that was rather rude of him to just push him under that vehicle.
Yeah, maybe this isn't the. I think maybe we're not seeing the city on its best day. Can we, Tyler? Can I trust you to, as non-aggressively as possible? Can we go ahead and get that injured person? I imagine nobody here has anything that's going to harm you or the glitter boy armor Just let's get that wounded out, and I'll get him fixed up if we can. This isn't our scene. Perhaps we uh, press on, or at least don't. I don't want to exacerbate the situation anyway. I don't think there's anything that we can do.
So Tyler message, at this point has probably come to his senses on his loudspeaker and turns that off real quick. I have to apologize, but I think this is the part where we get in trouble, or at least I do. How far away from this vehicle and the person that got pushed in front of it am I away from them?
You're probably a couple strides for you. You're probably about 20 feet away.
So enough where if I shot my boom gun, I'd quiet the crowd real quick.
You would essentially deafen the entire crowd. Like it would be bad. And make me a smarts roll, Tyler. Make me a smarts roll.
A 6.
Before you do that, let me get up in the air. Fire that boom gun, I mean.
Hang on here. It's cinematic. Tyler is acting. Okay, what was that? A 6 on your smarts roll.
Yep.
So that's a success. You think that firing a boom gun within the city limits might be some of that ruckus that Sarge was speaking about, but you know for a verifiable fact that it would quiet the crowd with a swiftness. Just to reiterate for those unfamiliar with riffs, the boom gun is the Glitter Boy's shoulder-mounted railgun that lets off a sonic boom every time that it fires, which I believe seriously deafens anyone who is within 10 squares or about 20 yards of it.
But that's ultimately temporary, though, isn't it?
It is. It's for here it is, 3d6 minutes, and it makes the character shaken. So, and if someone rolls a 1 on their vigor die, they are also incapacitated. So it's a big deal. But yeah, you could definitely fire that, and with that smart soul, it would definitely quiet the crowd. And as you're doing sort of these split-second calculations in your head, you see a head pop out of the sunroof on the sedan, and it's graying hair, and you hear him shouting, "Someone help!"
Okay. So at this point, who pushed the person out in front of the car? Was that the guy that was on the soapbox, or was that someone else?
Oh, it was the speaker.
Okay.
And people were looking at because it was a commotion, right? Horns and things. The crowd may not have seen it, but because you guys are outside of that, you saw him. He shoved someone to die.
Okay.
So quick question. From where I am with Slash, would I be able to shoot over to the car, grab the guy out of the sunroof, and get him away from the crowd?
Yeah, you think you could probably do that. I mean, your suit gets up to 400 miles an hour, so you definitely have the lift and the speed, but since we're doing this kind of cinematically, I want Tyler to kind of finish his thought, but that is something you can accomplish.
All right. So pylons drop into the ground, and
if I see pylons, there's got to be something we can interrupt there. Like that's got to be like a big trigger of like we know what happens after pylons drop.
Yeah, so it takes him an action to drop pylons. So during that time, and that's one that we can't like do a double action, you can't drop and shoot. So during that time while the pylons are going, you would get your actions. So Slash, what's your move since you spoke up next, and then we'll go to Graham.
Well, Tyler, if you're gonna let that thing off, I'm gonna make a break to try to grab that dude out of the car and get him away from the crowd. So give me like a second before you put a round off out of that thing, because I think that'd be a good way to shut this crowd up and get them calmed down a bit.
So a round is 6 seconds. So as you take off and power towards that car, what is your move here, Graham?
I know that he's getting ready to fire the boom gun, and based on what he said, I assume that he's not going to fire it at anybody. So I don't try to stop him firing it, but I've sort of picked up on how he rolls with this. I'm going to try and cast silence on uh basically on Tyler and the area around Tyler, to if possible at least like dampen the sound, if not completely negate it.
Um, that's interesting, and I feel like we're kind of working at odds. Can we pull up the spell silence? Is that on your sheet? Can I just click it up real quick?
Silence is on the sheet. Yeah, if you get a
Okay.
raise, everything within a certain area is nullified.
Oh, wow. Well, this is the kind of surprisingly the first time that I've come across this. Um, okay, so you know he's going to fire the boom gun. You know why he's doing it, and you're going to try and cast silence on him.
Yeah, I don't mean to be opposite the party. I just don't agree with this move. I think he's being too rash. Like
Okay.
my idea was that like, obviously I started with this like let's not get involved and he's like I'm getting involved. So it's like, okay, I can't stop you from getting involved, but maybe I can downplay like possibly incapacitating a bunch of people everywhere is like making a huge ruckus, right? And like I would Graham wants us to fade into the background. I just don't think there's anything, given that he knows what's about to happen and what powers Graham has access to. I don't think I can not be true to that move.
Okay. All right. Well, get us that. Go ahead and get us a roll then, I guess, because casting that spell is a single round action for you. So, um, everyone's taking their action. So, Slash is taking off. Tyler's dropping pylons, and you are casting silence. Go ahead and give us that roll.
I'm
Okay.
not going to spend a penny on it, but I did try, so I don't even
Yeah.
succeed at casting.
I think this is very cinematic, though. I really love this. Oh, so you don't succeed at casting at
No,
all?
no, I didn't get the threshold. I only got a 3, so the
Okay.
the bell doesn't even fire off. Like it's clear that that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, probably not to anybody because they're probably not watching me,
Yeah.
but that's 100% what Graham was trying to do.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll come back to Tyler at the top of our narrative order here. And we see, windows are starting to crack as people beat fists or maybe rocks against the window. And you see people trying to jump up onto the side of the hover sedan car. The only reason that the mayor hasn't been ripped out of the sunroof yet is because people can't quite reach him. And the bellicose street teller is saying, see the effect these sins have on the people. And what is your move, Tyler?
I point the boom gun straight up in the air. So it's going, and make sure I'm not hitting Slash, of course. Targeting
Slash
the
is
theater
out in
on and
front.
everything. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
And let the boom gun off.
He says so casually.
Oh yeah, there's definitely like Graham's definitely shouting behind him, like Tyler, nope, Tyler, think about this.
And so, there's no rolls to hit here. There's no rolls to damage. You think? Can you roll damage for me? Just for the GM, just because.
Sure.
Yeah.
Combat, boom gun.
Something's gonna feel it.
Only 20.
Oh wow! All right, with 20 armor piercing or something insane, but yeah. So you let the boom gun off into the air. Unfortunately, Graham, the sound is discouragingly unfettered, and you get the full wash of that noise being just about adjacent to him. So if you can give me a vigor roll for this sonic boom, and then Slash, you are also in range, but I believe you have a bonus because you're in environmentally sealed armor, so you'll get a vigor roll +2 instead of -2. And then Tyler, of course, you are gloriously unaffected as you feel the recoil, or almost the lack of recoil, as your suit does exactly what it was meant to do, at least compared to yesterday, when you let off that gun.
With a +2, I got an 18 for the vigor roll.
Good God, man. You guys are acing dice left and right.
Heck
Okay.
yeah, I like it.
So, Slash, you pass your vigor roll, and Graham, you also pass your vigor roll. And so let me see here. A failure. Do. I think you're fine, actually, if you pass the vigor roll. You're just shaken, you aren't deafened, if I'm reading that right. So
Do-do-do.
have we got any details on that there, Glitter Boy Pilot? I think if
I'm getting there real quick. Do-do-do-do. One big damn gun.
yeah.
Where is the...
It's under Sonic Boom.
Yep,
Under
Sonic
your
Boom.
yeah.
Affecting everyone except the pilot with a large blast template, who must check vigor -2 on a failure. Victim is shaken and hard of hearing for 3d6 minutes. This may not cause a wound. On a critical failure, so if they fail, then they're shaken and hard of hearing. If they succeed, nothing happens to them.
Yeah, that's impressive. All right, so our character party is all a-okay. Slash, you knew it was coming, you just weren't quite sure when, and you are able to adjust for the shock wave that comes up behind you as you scoop the who you assume to be the mayor up by the armpits or maybe just by the shirt collar out of the uh, window of the sunroof there. Can you roll me a piloting check while we briefly address the narrative of this gun going off? The boom gun fires, windows shatter in the buildings along the street, and the crowd in front of you falls to the ground, almost as if you had shot them down, Tyler. And some of them are still standing, but it is rare as people who fell over with the sound, the shock, the fright, grabbed those around them as they fell and curled into balls. There are people along the sides of the street who sort of fell back on their butts, and ooh, do you want to Benny that piloting roll there, Slash? And
Yes,
as
I
I said,
do.
the windows across the buildings within about a 20-yard radius have completely shattered, and there is silence, and you feel like you almost might be deafened until you recognize the hum of the city in the background, but it is very faint as everything, probably in about a mile radius, screeched to a halt when the boom gun went off. Whether they're inside or outside the effect, this is a sonic boom, which is easily heard.
And Tyler has, an ear to ear grin. Like, he's
Hmm.
seen some of the old, like, pre-riffs of videos. Oh god. And like the old westerns where, the big crowd, like, this is like right out of one of them. It's just just perfect. Like, big crowd needs to get attention. The guy, the cowboy pulls out his gun and just boom up in the air just to get everybody's attention. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's what's in his head right now, and he's just
Mm-hmm.
grinning ear to ear.
Oh,
And
you
he
nailed
starts
it.
walking forward and, like, specifically finding the person that was, like, up on the soapbox that's just getting this group of people riled up, and, like, we're gonna have a chat.
Sure, sure. So the gun goes off. You start to withdraw pylons, and reset the suit so you can take those steps forward. Slash, with your piloting roll of 4, you successfully scoop the mayor up as the echoes of the sonic boom are dying because you were in flight when it went off. So he's pulled out of the car as the crowd crumbles away, and you bear hug him up as you fly over the vehicle to the far side of the crowd. And Graham, what's your next action here? The boom gun has gone off. You see Slash clearing the mayor's feet, clearing the moonroof there. What are you doing here in the aftermath?
I think, although he doesn't, agree with the methods, he, obviously also recognizes that that soapbox guy was the instigator of this.
Mm.
So I think Graham's going to move forward and try and push his way through. He really wants to do his best to see if he can tend to or just confirm, the status of that person who's probably dead, but he's got to know. So that person that was pushed under the vehicle, he's heading that way. But as he moves up, he's going to do another silence, but targeted specifically on that grandstander.
Sure. So the grandstander is being dragged away by his collar by someone in environmental body armor, and they are almost down a street across. So behind him from where he was speaking, because you were heading down the street, vehicles came up from behind you. He was ahead and on your right, and he's being dragged down an alley. And you see him almost disappearing around that corner.
Okay, yeah.
But you're making your way to the car, and you can definitely still cast silence on him. He's probably only about 20 feet away at this point.
Okay, but if it looks like they're like him and maybe his people are like digging out, is what it seems like.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's not a priority then. I think we're just gonna try to rush over to the person that was injured. Like zero concern for our own personal well-being and safety. Like if we have to like shoulder past through people, if we might get struck by this
Oh.
mob, like zero concern. Like we're going for this person if we can find them. Like can we see them?
The mob is zeroed out, reduced to cowering human beings, except for like one or two individuals, and those one or two are like just stopped and looking at the glitter boy, because everyone has just been reminded about what that armor was built to do, and also reminded about how squishy they may or may not be in the leading moments. And so you can see under the car, because most you're stepping over people at this point, or just nudging them around, and there is definitely cooked meat under the car. You would not deem it to be something you could save at this point in your career.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we just sort of like I think he just pounds his fist on like the vehicle that did it, like the one that's right there, and like shakes his head, especially when he like looks over at uh Tyler and he knows that Tyler's like beaming. Like he doesn't have to be able to see Tyler's face right now to know that kid's like happy with himself right now, and it's just it cuts so much harder too, because of the like good moments they've had. Like this isn't Tyler's fault, but like it just sticks in
Yeah.
there.
It just really didn't go according to plan for like anybody. So, okay. All right. So Graham makes his way to the vehicle, gets to it, sees what's underneath, pounds his fist on it, and looks back at Tyler. And we come back, Slash has cleared the vehicle as we stated. So we come back to Tyler. You begin to stride forward through the crowd, and you see at this point, the feet of the speaker disappearing down that alleyway, and you have a crowd to cross if you want to try and get there.
The crowd is probably at this point, like you said, they're cowering, they're deafened. I can't talk to them to get them out of the way, and I don't tiptoe well with a 1.2 ton piece of armor. So I'm gonna kind of do, exactly what Graham did. That smile on my face was because I could get that guy, because
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw him just, I don't know if what he's saying is at least partially true at this point in time, but he certainly is someone we don't want around, as he's just rabble rousing and trying to do something that shouldn't be doing. And so he's just as frustrated, and probably about that time as he's shaking his fist, he probably sees Graham doing that, and looking down at the poor soul that ended up under the car, and just you can see the glitter boy's head drop a little bit, and damn it.
And I think that for the overall narrative, this is kind of the second, not failure, but second situation that was just got too far out of control too quickly for Tyler and his attributes and his personality. And this is, second time in as many days. And I think, Graham actually has a similar psyche and this may be something of note. Just for you guys to note in your characters that this is like the second time in 2 days that you kind of suffered a defeat, psychological defeat here, in that the person you wanted to save is gone, and the person responsible has also just been just out of reach, just gotten away. And Slash, we come over to you, my friend, as you cradle the mayor to you. You've cleared the crowd, you've cleared the car. What is your next move here?
I'm gonna fly over to Tyler and Graham and drop the mayor there. And hey, did you guys where'd that guy go that was that caused all this trouble? I could go fly over and get him. I'm quick enough. If we still know where he is, I go catch his ass real quick.
He kind of ducked down an alley, so
can I?
So go ahead and you can roll me. Do we have like a sensor roll? I think it would be notice roll for you, Slash. And I think we look.
I was gonna see if I could shoot up into the air and see down the alleys and kind of the streets, because there's probably not a lot of trees or a lot of cover.
No.
And see if I could see him.
No, it's an alley between buildings. So yeah, you can set the mayor down. You presume he's safe here in the shocking aftermath of the firing, and you shoot back up into the air. Just a quick like a power hop almost. Getting in 20-30 feet in the air and getting a good vantage point on that alley. And you see a sewer, a manhole cover laying open to the side, and you find it interesting to note. If you'll make me a smarts roll real quick, we'll continue the narrative. Yeah, you find it interesting to note. It's just like, sewer's in a mining town, but you don't see, like, instead of saying he's there or he's gone, it's like, oh, this place has a sewer.
Benny.
Yeah. Let me get that real quick.
Well, I'm glad someone's using their bennies for something.
A little better.
Yeah, no, that's healthy. You assume that he's gone down the manhole cover or something, but he's not in that alley anymore.
I'm gonna radio down to Tyler and Graham and let them know that he's gotten away for now. But if we come across him again, we need to do what we can to get him.
Yeah, I kind of want to have a talk with him and see what he's doing around here. However, we do have the other person that I really want to talk to right here.
Agreed. I've got something for him too. A little less nice than a talk.
As the two of you have that radio conversation, you hear a treaded vehicle rolling up that side street, Tyler, behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And jumping down as a loudspeaker blares off, "This is the city guard! Stand down all!" And you see that there's you would presume to be a pilot, but he seems to be maybe some sort of cyber hybrid. But there is a man wired into the front seat of this treaded sort of flatbed truck, and it just looks overly armored. You could call it an up-armored half-track, sort of, and jumping off the back of it are just this mob of partial cyborgs, who you probably, I think Tyler would probably recognize as headhunters. These guys are scarred up, beaten up. The cybernetics are not new, but highly functional, and they are all carrying rifles, heavy damage, mega damage rifles. Just at a glance, you see that this is a group that probably shouldn't be messed with. It's about a dozen guards who are jumping off of this tracked vehicle here.
Yep. Tyler doesn't do anything aggressive. Boom gun is in its stationary position at this point. He did what exactly he wanted to do, and I'm just gonna look over the crowd. I'll in fact like wave him, like as I see him getting off, I'll kind of motion him to come on over. As city guard's a city guard. As long as they're not gonna start shooting random people, I'm cool with it. But I also try to look for the two hover bike pilots and make sure that they're looking okay, and if I can find them.
Sure. So the hoverbike pilots are actually, they're deafened on the ground too. You think no one's skull looks smashed in. You think they look salvageable as human beings. Mostly it was just like they were pulled off the bikes and maybe stepped on or kicked a few times. And that was all. But the bike pilots look good. And as you wave the guards over and you're very unassuming, one of the beefier cyborgs, he looks like a lot closer to full conversion than partial. It's like, all right, Glitter Boy, I don't think you're at the heart of what's been going on here, but I'll be looking to you for answers first. And that is where we will cut the session this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Any closing thoughts or questions from my players here?
I guess the final question: does it look like it can be sussed out that this crew is composed of that band of mercenaries that Gate Guard
Yeah,
is talking about?
that won't take a notice rule. You see like a poorly hand painted replica of the crest that's on the sedan, the hover sedan. Poorly hand painted replica on the tread vehicle. So you assume it's up, and you can see that same symbol on shoulder pads or on, upper arms.
Yeah, so I think the only thing left for Graham is just to key that radio one more time and be like, "Okay, everybody just be cool."
Excellent. Slash, any closing thoughts? Slash. Potentially muted. He might be away. Tyler, any closing thoughts?
At this point, seeing that, we had in Tyler's mind, he's definitely sad that he couldn't save everybody, but at the same time, he's kind of like, but really, we only had one person out of what could have been a really bad situation happen. So he's that it's kind of that bittersweet type of thing. He's like, I got to think again how to deal with a new situation that just got out of hand and what I could do better next time.
Sure. Sure. I think that's powerful as we roll to a close here. And we are going to be advancing next session. So your homework, everyone, is to pull up the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition, check out what an advancement entails, and then pull up the Rifts book and check out what an advancement entails for a Rifts character, a Rifts module within Savage Worlds. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to address that, but I don't think we need to do that on stream. And please, everyone, be prepared to talk about how you advanced and sort of some story points of what your character may have learned or how they grew in respect to what you chose to advance, be it rank, it, skill, etc., etc. And to all of our listeners, live listeners and podcast listeners, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for sending us a tweet. Thank you all for leaving us a comment or subscribing to the podcast on your chosen platform. This is a lot of fun for us, and it's really cool to get your feedback, know how we might be able to make the game better, and also just chat with folks who are following along with the story. Let us know what you think. That's all from
Awesome.
me.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, and we'll be
Awesome.
back next Monday, right? Everybody, I think.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'm working on this coming Monday. We'll talk about it off the stream here in a minute.
Okay. Then look for announcements either like Five said on our Twitter page. You can find us just by Roleplaying Rats or Discord here, and we'll let you know what's going on with scheduling.
Thank you
So-
much.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
So long.
Good night, everyone.